backseat, you know the line to you and me. Everywhere from here to the backseat, you know the line to you and me.
Belarus, Lukashenko threatens use of nuclear weapons if faced with aggression. This is possibly a setup. We don't know what the heck is actually going on, but of course, Lukashenko has run his mouth a ton of times, and we're going to talk about that tonight. First of all, it says that he is threatening nuclear. It says Belarus will respond to, quote, aggression with nuclear weapons. President Alexander Lukashenko warned in an interview with state-run media as its NATO neighbors have deployed thousands of troops to their shared border amid growing tensions. Already poor relations between democratic leaders and the oft-described Europe's last dictator have further soured, with Belarus has played a pivotal role in Russia's war in UKR, including acting as a launching pad for Russian troops during the start of the invasion on February 24th. It says that the United States and its allies have repeatedly issued punitive measures targeting Belarus over its involvement, while Minsk and Moscow have seemingly grown closer, with Russian President Vladimir Putin in June delivering tactical nuclear weapons to its seemingly European ally. Not very good. We're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about, of course, Twitter. Twitter is now putting in these just crazy new rules. Essentially, everything's going to go back to old Twitter. Now X, again, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Hurricane Hilary. We'll talk about everything that's going on around the world. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in the show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
Everywhere from here to the backseat, you know the line to you and me.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. First of all, just everything has been getting crazy, and as predicted, we are getting closer to the day where everybody drops something in a box and picks who we think leads us. And it's just every single time, every 4 years, we see all of these things kind of pop up. There are many things that I think are coming your way, so please tune in carefully tonight, because as far as what came around in 2019, that is rearing its ugly head, and it seems like they are already setting up the rules on platforms for that. It also seems like they're about to change everything due to what happened with the fire and what was said about it, what was attached to it, all of that, which I predicted. I said, we got to be careful when we do this stuff. We can't just take a 10-year-old video and attach stuff, because they're going to use that against us. And now there are new rules, draconian rules, in my opinion, that are essentially going to be putting people on lists that they don't know that they're on. And that is horrendous. And this is why being independent and being on your own, we don't have a multi-channel network. We don't have a team of lawyers and a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. It's super, super hard to do this stuff. We literally are riding a roller coaster every single day of every year that we've ever been on this platform and any other. It's just absolutely insane. We'll talk about that in a bit. As far as Lukashenko and this whole nuclear thing, this is news from a prepper standpoint, so I would highly recommend that people, don't just totally throw this stuff away. with all of the fake mutiny, all of these different events that make us go, "Oh, this is a big circus and a big joke." Maybe that's the point. Maybe it is the point to make us go, "Oh, this is all a bunch of BS. Ah, who cares? It's all silly." And then something hits us in the side of the head, and who knows who is actually in a room, a closed door room, deciding what's going to happen next. We most definitely know that there are all sorts of agendas going on right now, and we know for a fact that they are trying to change our lives. And by our, I mean all of us regular civilians in almost every country in the world. We are going to have a change of life all across the planet. So you can see the steps being put into place. And as long as it's not happening today, people don't care. But they always set it a little bit ahead, and they always give you they give you a little bit at a time so you don't panic and you don't freak out because, oh, they just changed a little thing over about 5 years. Then all of a sudden you're like, whoa, they changed everything. But they did it in incremental steps, which we're humans. We literally just don't even notice. It's kind of like if you see somebody every single day, you don't notice them growing. But if you don't see somebody, say you have a niece or nephew or something you haven't seen in 5 years, and now they're 6 feet tall, you're like, whoa, how big are they? And of course, nobody else noticed. They're like, oh yeah, he's been that big. It's kind of like that with the changes all around us. If you left the country and came back, I bet you would go, whoa, what the heck? What has changed here? So before we get started, let's get into it. If you are new here, make sure to go over to the website, marfooglenews.com. That is where we have a full bibliography of all of our sources. I think that's why we've lasted so long, is because we always have a source list. This bibliography has every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. So we back up what we say. That way, you know exactly where the source is and where the information is from. And whether it be our opinion on that piece or something else, you have the access to it. So we're not just saying something and then you have to go down a rabbit hole to find every single thing we say. You have a list of everything. So make sure to go down there. The show notes are all here if you want to read that. Or if you missed the show, you can go through and read the daily news. It's all aggregated by hand. So make sure to go use it. And it's also archived and searchable in the upper right-hand corner. So you can go to all the previous shows and find something that you want to find. There is web only. We'll talk about that at the very end. That is at the very bottom. So make sure to go check that out. All right. And then let's bring in my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So just a quick reminder, make sure to also go over and check out marfooglenews.com/friends. Down in the chat, we push each other up. We don't push each other down. General rules, just make sure to be polite to everybody. Everyone is in the same page. We might not all be at the same level of knowledge, or we might believe completely different things. We might be on this side of the aisle or that side of the aisle. It doesn't matter. The main rule is just get along, because we are already divided enough. My chat, I want it to be as cohesive as possible, and don't argue about politics or this or that. Try to find common ground if you can. All right. And then let's see here. So going back to Lukashenko, Dex, the thing is he's threatening nuclear actions if there is some sort of aggression. We've also seen him before say, well, the only way we'll get into the UK or conflict is if we are attacked. This is like the perfect setup for a Fantastic Freddy, some sort of event. And they say, oh, well, Poland did this or they did that. And then they are able to use their tactical nuclear weapons or whatever they are.
It certainly is, and it's also an opportunity to foreshadow what's coming. We had Lukashenko bring the Wagnerites in, then we had him put them at the border of Poland. Then Poland reacted. Then they reacted again by moving 10,000 troops, running their military parade and bringing all of their gear and bringing it over near there. And now we've got Lukashenko saying, "Well, now that the Poland has troops there, I'm going to make this a statement and say that if any aggression comes from them, we have and we will use everything in our arsenal, which is our tactical, because our nukes that we were given by Russia, because we're a small country and we could be taken over by NATO in a matter of days." So he basically says we're going to go all in if somebody crosses our border. So it is absolutely setting up the narrative for an escalation between these two. And their actions have, And now, the words from the leaders are there as well.
And there's going to be people like, "Oh, nothing's going to happen." One of these days it is. And the media has cried wolf and they try to scare you every 2 seconds so you are paying attention. But again, this at some point will happen, at least some sort of interaction between these countries, and then it's going to pop off. It may not be these countries, but there are way too many that are all on edge for this not to happen. And you can tell that the a World War III scenario where NATO is involved, Article 5, all of this would profit for many, many people at the very top. War is good money. It's the best money. So, not to mention it restructures power and it can put people on top that have never been on top before. It can restructure leaders. It can restructure everything. Thank you, Linda S., Jacqueline L., Dawn D., and Jeff B., Lisa H. Thank you guys for your PayPal this year. I appreciate you guys, and thank you for supporting us. Ever more important, once we get into the social media stuff, it is absolutely insane what they're doing. But first, we have the Hurricane Hilary. Now, we have a lot of you that are in California. A lot of folks are saying that the weather is just crazy. But again, it says, when was California's last tropical storm? One expert says Hilary is nearly unprecedented. Dex, do you want to cover how this is unprecedented? This is basically in our lifetime.
Yeah, for sure. So this we have not seen, I don't think we've ever seen a real full on hurricane hit. There's been numerous remnants, maybe a handful, remnants of one. But there was one time in 1939, and this was before they named storms, the El Cordazo, Cordonnazo is I guess the name they called it. It was a tropical storm. It was a hurricane, very much like the one we're seeing here. It actually had 45 people perish, caused millions of dollars, and this is back in 1939. So $2 million in damage is a lot of money in today's time, to structures, crops, and all sorts of other things. So, and that was doesn't necessarily mean that that would happen today, but at the same time, Southern California from San Diego to LA, and then moving over to even into Nevada, like Las Vegas, all of those areas, they don't necessarily do well with a torrent of rain. They get their occasional rain here and there. They get, runoffs from snow melt, et cetera, but they don't normally just get hammered with a tropical storm level type of rain event, which is pretty much what's in store for LA, for Southern California, for San Diego, for Las Vegas. So, as this storm, which was a Cat 3, as we were talking about it yesterday, is moving up, I don't think it's not forecasted to hit as a hurricane. It's forecast to hit as a tropical storm, just like the one in 1939. But yeah, it's going to be a big deal for the folks down there. Even the wind could be a big deal because it's not a normal type event. It's not like Florida or the Gulf Coast or southern Alabama, southern Texas, all those ranges that get Mississippi, et cetera, that get hurricanes, or even the East Coast that get hurricanes from the Atlantic. They're used to it, but not something Southern California is used to.
No, and like we have seen, like Leah posted videos when they had all sorts of crazy storms coming in, and these weren't like this. Like this is worse than that. She posted videos of rain flying sideways and trees down and all of this. So I can only imagine how this would affect an area that completely is, completely unprepared for something like this. As far as the high winds, if you are in California, if you are in the kind of way of this, then I would highly recommend that you have preps, because if things do get bad at any point, as you know, many other people are going to be unprepared too, and they're all going to go out at the same time and grab stuff. I'm sure there are already stores with very low supplies because they are expecting this and media's hyped it. Dex, go ahead.
Well, the other thing that bothers me is I know in the LA area, probably all throughout Southern California, and up to San Francisco, which is probably less of a concern. There's a lot of homeless. There's a lot of people that are, living on the streets or living in vans. And, that is another concern. Like, what is going to happen with that scenario? I mean, typically the weather in in, LA, you can survive outside. It's not that, it's actually so beautiful there. That's why everybody wanted to live in California back in the day. So, but yeah, that's going to be a scary situation for a lot of people that we know that are on the streets there.
So again, I'm sorry, and I'm praying for you if you are homeless in California right now, in the way of this whole thing. But be safe and obviously prepare whatever you can if you have time. And then, so then we have the Maui wildfire perished climbs to 480 apparent, according to the locals. Now, we have heard from multiple locals that they believe that the number is way higher. We actually had a caller last night. We had Justin True that ended up calling in, and his call, everybody was kind of set back by. He actually told us something that I did not know. He said that when the fires hit, people were actually told by police when they were trying to get away from them to turn around and to go back into the area. I don't know what happened. I'm sure they're going to come out with, and by the way, I don't think they're going to respond to that because I haven't seen any mainstream media. Have you, Dex, talking about the cops turning people around? I don't know if that's public knowledge. Like that might have been on our show. Like that might be something that nobody knows about. Because I would think they would have to have an answer for that. You would think they would try to get a comment or something and say, why did you turn people around? What was the deal there?
Yeah, the only thing I've seen is about the sirens and why they didn't sound them, and they would probably get away with the same excuse, which was we didn't want people heading up in the wrong direction.
And there was multiple
so
fires.
Yeah,
There was fires going off all over the place. Like my sister, when she was like following the whole thing at the time, she even sent me a text. She's like, "Oh my gosh, for F's sake, there's a fire in this place and this place." Let's see here. It was like Kalapali, I think it was. Let's see here if I can find it right here. I will find it, I promise. Yeah, Kahana Pali, and I can't even say that. I'm not even going to try. And Kahana Pali was being evacuated. There was multiple fires that were, in Kula and Kahai. So there were fires all over the place. So I could see saying, don't go from this area to another fire. But on the main road, as they said, that was the way out. That was the way to get out of there. And they actually turned them back around. We've heard since day 2, really, a lot of people saying, hey, this number is way higher. We also heard from Justin True, the caller last night, which you can go check his channel out on marfooglenews.com/friends. But he also said that the sirens didn't go off, all of that. Now we know. We're going to cover that here in a minute. But we also heard that they would not let people in because they were afraid of people taking pictures of the perished. He said that the old folks guaranteed didn't get out, that a lot of them thought that the fire department was going to come help, but they couldn't. The young kids, the school confirmed, the 2 callers last night both confirmed that school was canceled because of the hurricane winds. So that means these kids were at home and their parents were at work when it started. So this is gut wrenching. It's one of the most horrific things we have all seen, and it is very easy to. It's really easy to really get caught up in how bad this is. But now they're saying, it says Maui authorities are dramatically underplaying the number of people known to have perished in the inferno that ripped through Lahaina, with locals telling dailymail.com that the actual toll is at least 480 and that morgues had run out of bags. So the how they're basing this, and by the way, they're looking at the supplies they need for each person that has perished, and they're saying we ran out. So there's at least that many. I think that after the fact, they're going to find over 1,000 perished. It's just going to take time, obviously, if they are also not able to get to all of these different places. But this just further backs up what we have said since day 2, and that is because of the Fugel fam that are actually in Maui, in Hawaii, they're on the ground. So And then I think it was Helmana. Is it Helvana? What was Justin Trudeau's church? Was it Helvana? Helvana Baptist Church that was on the ground helping people. Justin Trudeau is actually a part of that church, and they were helping people. But like they said, there's way more people than what they think, and nobody understands why they are trying to downplay the numbers, if that is true. Again, I can't say that it is absolutely true, because then I could get in trouble if they say it's officially not. But we all have our opinion on this. And then Maui's top emergency official is out after failing to sound sirens as fires approached. This is one of the worst things, too. There were no sirens alerting these people of an emergency. And I don't understand how this even happened. It says that Maui's top emergency management official resigned on Thursday, one day after he defended his decision not to sound warning sirens as wildfires swept across the island. The resignation of Herman Andaya, administrator of the county's emergency management agency, was effective immediately, a county spokesperson said. A wildfire devastated the historic West Maui town of Lahaina August 8th, taking the lives of more than 100 people, and of course, as locals say, at probably closer to 500, and now, after it's all done, maybe 1,000 or more, destroying thousands of buildings, many of them residential. Remember, almost all of those residential buildings, any of them that had kids, their kids were not at school. It says residents have described fleeing the area with little more than what they could grab. It says with no way to receive emergency alerts sent to mobile devices since the power had been out for many since the early that morning. And what's so crazy is during the false missile alert, every person got an alert on their phone, but yet nothing for this. When the real emergency happened, they did the opposite. They didn't send out any sirens. And I don't know if they even had a cell phone alert, did they? If they did it, I think it was like 7 hours too late or something. You would think that every single cell phone on the island would go off, kind of like they did with the false missile alert that sent people throwing their kids into sewer systems. But again, we don't know. The guy is he's the patsy, and he's basically taking blame for at least this part of it. But the electricity, the water going off, all of these other things, it was just a whole cluster. And this is a perfect example of why you need to prepare yourself, because nobody is going to come and get you. Okay, Katrina and this, two examples of a complete screw up on the government's part, even though there's supposed to be drills, they do all of these events, they do exercise. These are human beings. Do you think that any group of people, there are the biggest corporations in the world, and they try to get some of the best people in the world on projects, and they still make dozens and if not hundreds of mistakes all the time? And you think that because this is emergency related, that all of these people are just going to work like some sort of well-oiled machine and everyone's going to be rescued? No. This is why we prep. This is why we look at protecting ourselves, because it's not. Look at how many times they screwed up. Look at Katrina. It took 4 days to get water to the Superdome. Like, that's unacceptable. There's so many events that have happened, and it shows you that literally you cannot depend on anybody else. You may be lucky if you are saved, but you can't depend on somebody else for this kind of stuff. It says the public is trained to seek higher ground in the event that the siren is sounded, he said, noting that the sirens are primarily used for tsunamis. Had we sounded the siren that night, we were afraid that people would have gone Moaka. And he said, using a word meaning to the mountainside. And if there was sirens and there was fire, people can see fire. They would have looked out and go, oh, fire. They're not just going to climb to the highest place. They're going to go away from the fire. That's the stupidest part about this, and it doesn't make any sense. Dex, what do you think about this guy resigning?
Well, I kind of wonder if he's a fall guy. But like who actually made the call to not sound the sirens? Is it really just him, or was it somebody above? I can't imagine he was working alone. He has, his past. Was the until today the administrator of the Maui Emergency Management. Before that, he was chief of staff of the office of the mayor in the county of Maui. And he was then worked in the university, special assistant to the chancellor. So he's been in positions that, working alongside government officials. And, I can't imagine he was doing this alone. So I don't know. That's my first thought. My next thought is wait and see. Like, what happens to him? Does he have a incredibly cool job in about 6 months or a year? If that is the case, then there's some, obviously other things you might want to dig into there too as well. But this is, in my opinion, it's pretty much like yours. If a siren was going off and it woke me up out of bed and I went outside, and even if my first instinct was to go up the mountain, but I can look up the mountain and see is nothing but smoke and fire, I ain't going that way. I'm going to be thankful I'm awake and try to figure out what to do next. That's a much better option than sleeping and waking up to a fire in my bedroom.
And the way he talks, this sounds like somebody who was told, "Hey, take a hit for us. We'll get you a better job." Says, "Sorry, I don't mean to diminish the value of sirens." Zendaya said, "I totally agree with you, Chief, that the sirens are important." Like, these guys are a joke. Like, this guy is, and that's like Dex said. Let's see in 6 months if he's getting paid twice as much somewhere else. Then I would be really suspicious about that. Like, he's taken the hit. They always do this, and I've talked about this before. In House of Cards or in any other show that shows politics, in Don't Look Up, where they go, "Oh, hey, you're gonna have to take the hit for this one," and "Okay, sure, I'll resign tomorrow." They do this all the time, and then they'll get a job the next day doing something better. But they're taking the public humiliation for everybody, and they're getting taken care of because they know nobody's gonna keep track of the chief of some job like this 4 years later. They're not going to remember that name. Nobody's going to remember this guy's name. Aren't you the guy who forgot to do this? Maybe in the year or two after, but 5 years from now, nobody's going to remember this guy. He's not a celebrity. It's like they know that they can just resign and then go down the street and do something else, and they'll be taken care of. I bet you. Dax, go ahead.
It's kind of like the chief of police there, right? He was the former chief of police in Vegas during that awful event. And then all of a sudden later, he gets this great offer to be the chief of police of Maui. Now, mind you might look at it and think, well, maybe, Vegas is a much bigger city and Maui's a small island. But, come on. That's a retirement package if I ever heard of one.
Yeah. Hawaii. Oh, yeah. No, that would a horrible job. Yeah, in paradise, right? Now, before we move on, this is a reminder. Make sure to go over and check out marfugglenews.com/energy. The reason why, this is exactly why we tell people to be self-sufficient. If you want one of the best solar generators on the market, then I would highly recommend going and getting an Energy Flex 1500 or a Flex Tactical. Both of these are expandable. They can expand up to 96 batteries. And the Flex 1500 is modular, so you can change it around, you can alter it, you can make it however you want it. You can add a UPS module that makes it an uninterrupted power supply. You can add a supercharger that triples the inputs of the panels. The great part about this is it's so easy. You just literally put the panels out in the sun, and you are able to plug one cord into the main unit, and then you have power coming in. If you have more panels, you daisy chain them just like Christmas lights, and then boom, you have more power coming in. Not only that, you can charge it like a giant battery bank from your wall when you do have power. And then when the power goes out, you're immediately going to have backup power stored and ready to go. This is an awesome unit. Again, they now have the Tactical, which is so good that they actually designed with the Air Force Research Laboratory. And now it has won a huge contract with the Army. So this is the same one that is actually going to be shipping out part of the SBIR Army Phase 2 contract. These things are tough. They have the 1,500-pound reinforced latches. They have steel reinforced cases. They also have heaters built into every battery for extreme cold temperatures. So these things are amazing. They're also silent. They don't make any sound. You can't hear them from 30 feet away, let alone 3 blocks away like a gas-powered generator. The other part with gas is, again, gas is awesome. Gas-powered generators are great, but when SHTF happens or any kind of disaster, as we've seen with Hawaii and anywhere, gas is extremely hard to get. So if you're in an apartment or somewhere else, you're probably not able to store huge barrels of fuel. If you are able to store fuel, again, it is flammable, and it is something that even if you have 2, 3, 4 barrels, how long is that going to last you after a month or 2 months or 3 months if things don't come back on? So this is something that solves that. It's a great tool in any prepper's arsenal. It is something that I believe will save lives. And again, it very well, especially if you have CPAP machines or anything else, then this is an excellent tool to get. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy. Not only are you going to save money on it, but you're going to help our independent channel. As you'll see later, social media is about to go through another purge. If you go through us, you're not only getting it cheaper, but you're also going to help your favorite channel basically get through all of these hardships. So thank you guys for doing so. That's again, marfooglenews.com/energy, and use the code Marfoogle. Thank you for supporting any of our affiliates. We really do appreciate it. Like it's literally, we're not treated the same. You'll see. And then U.S., Japan, and South Korea condemn dangerous and aggressive actions by China. Dex, do you want to cover what Reuters is saying?
So the meeting that we talked about that was going to happen happened. So in Camp David, Japan, the president of South Korea, the prime minister of Japan, and JB, our president here, got together and had their meeting. It came out of it making this statement, this significantly strong quote, dangerous and aggressive actions towards China, and specifically in the South China Sea, I believe the statement was pointed at. But they also agreed to hold trilateral military training exercises annually. So all three of them are going to continue to do that. I think they've done them before, but they're going to actually agree to do them every year. They're sharing real-time information on North Korea missile launches, and that should be done by the end of this year. And they will also hold trilateral summits annually as well. So this will go on. This will be a new thing. I think what China is worried about is this is the start of, or potentially looking like, a Pacific NATO. And it certainly could be that. It is. I mean, both of these are strong allies of the U.S., and it certainly makes sense that you could see them come together along with others in the Pacific to support one another against their adversaries if they all have the same adversary, meaning China.
This is to add, of course, we have the NATO alliance. Now you have South Korea and Japan in this room. And by the way, they did a closed door meeting with just the prime ministers and the presidents. This is at Camp David. There's areas where they can go secret. This is what we were talking about the other day when this was announced. This is something that has never happened. This is the first time ever. Obviously, watch Japan. That's something that Fugel Fam Military told us, and I believe it's true. Like, Japan is going to be a big part of the whole China part of what is going on right now. Poland is going to be a huge part of the Russian scenario over there, and Japan is going to be a big part of what is happening with Taiwan. Add in South Korea and how, of course, the North Korea, that whole scenario going down and all of the shadiness around it. Pay attention to all of this. They are essentially, this is like predictive programming of what is to be. Look at all of the deals that are being done behind closed doors. Of course, he's not alone, too. He's got John Kirby and Gina Ronaldo, I think it was, Roninto, something like that. But he actually has a whole team that is not pictured over on the right. And that team consists of all of his advisors. So they are doing some big stuff there. I guarantee something is going to come out of this. So keep your head on a swivel. And then thank you, Sharon Davis. Thank you for the support. Lindy Lou, thank you for the super sticker as well. Thank you. The Dogebird, hello. Don't fall for the hustle, friends. YouTube Madness will be reborn right before your eyes. It's a whole new world and algorithm. Wink, wink, X. YouTube Madness will be reborn right before your eyes. Well, I hope, I believe there will be madness here soon. And then B-Roll Beast, not worried about the storm. Our officials already destroyed Los Angeles. Yeah. I agree with you. And then we have, I don't know. Thank you for the sticker there. And then Some Bad It says, love you, Fugel fam. Overcame with bipolar with Jesus, has just wanted to say I love you. And Fugel fam, yes, Maui is that thing that you think it is. I can't say that, otherwise that would be like, hey, let's get him knocked off. followed by Hurricane Hilary, can't make it up. I agree with you at least about that. That the stuff that's happening right now, you can't make it up. Truth is stranger than fiction right now. As far as the other stuff, we'll go over that here in a little bit. The people that attached the wrong stuff to this, though, and I'm sure there's real stuff that is there, but since not everybody was following that strict, like, let's only share the stuff we absolutely know is there, that screws up everybody because right away, Dex, wasn't it funny that the day after, we didn't show that on the show, which we forgot, but there was an article put out about how there was all of these bad videos that are 5, 6, 7 years old, and they were being shared out. What I thought was really suspicious is they're using these 3 like big articles that were about it. When you go back to those original videos, they were on our show. They were big videos, and all of a sudden you can't find the originals, and the original were big stories. So it's almost like somebody went back retrospectively and went back and deleted the articles with those things to make it hard for you to find the original. So then when somebody sees somebody faking this video and attaching it to Hawaii, then they go, oh, well, then they search for the original, and the original is hard to find. Then they go, oh, this must be it. You see what I'm saying here? Like it's almost like they preemptively, I don't know, a 3-letter agency could have put out the original tweets that tricked everybody in going, oh, this is from this, when it was really from Chicago, Los Angeles, or Texas during a storm. It's like, it's weird to me because a couple of them were really big events that we covered, and we even did on our thumbnails, like the blue lights in Chicago, all of these things. When you go back, these were videos that were shared everywhere, and all of a sudden you can't find the original, the high definition one. Now you only see the 120p crappy version that people are sharing like wildfire. No pun intended. Like it seems like to me that they were able to use all of those viral tweets, and now they're cracking down on it. It's happened time and time again. Every time there's an event like this, everybody goes, oh, this is this. And then they're able to crack down on it. X is doing it, aka Twitter, the Tube is doing it. We'll show you that here in a minute. There's even a thing on medical stuff, which I believe is going to be related to CV rearing its ugly head again. And then the U.S. is quietly warning its Middle East partners about the cost of stocking up on Chinese-made weapons. It says U.S. officials are warning about Chinese arms sales in the Middle East, saying that they could undermine the U.S. military's ability to integrate with its partners in the region. China isn't offering weapons that would directly replace U.S. arms, but the growing interest in what Beijing is selling reflects a longer-term desire by Middle Eastern countries to diversify their suppliers and their increasing concern about the U.S.'s commitment to the region, experts say. Chinese arms sales in the Middle East have increased by 80% over the past decade, a result of Beijing's expanding relationships there and their willingness to deliver arms faster and with fewer stipulations than Washington. It says General Michael, and by the way, these weapons, I guarantee you, are carbon copies and downloads of ours, blueprints and all. They jack us, and then they sell our stuff to somebody else, basically made the same way with the same equipment and everything else, because our people and our companies and even weapons companies were sending our stuff to China to be made. It's stupidity. This is a huge sign, by the way. Just think about that. 80%. It has increased by 80% over the past decade. The Middle East is now working more with China. Why is the Middle East important? Well, the Middle East is home to the oil. This is the petrodollar. And you see in the last couple of years, you see headlines like they won't even answer JB's call. They're rolling out the red carpet for Xi Jinping. And people don't see what's coming. Like this is crazy. People's pride and people's pride is getting in their head and blocking them from seeing an obvious adversary that's literally trying to dominate the world. General Michael Kurilla, the head of the U.S. Central Command, told the Senate Armed Services Committee in March that there had been a significant increase in Chinese foreign military sales in the Middle East. Chinese officials, quote, open up their entire catalog, Kurilla added. They give them express shipping. They give them no end user agreement, and they give them financing. They're even giving them 72-month loans on that 2022 tank. This is absurd. Right from under our nose. Well, no wonder they're answering their calls and rolling out the red carpet, and they're not answering our calls, because everybody they're literally changing things around right under our noses. Dex, comments on the China 80% increase?
Well, you've already covered the part about China increasing it, but the other thing to think about is when our weapons are used and commingled with our adversaries, it also creates a problem. A good example of that at a much higher scale is Turkey and the F-35 program. They purchased S-400s from Russia, and we told them, if you do it, you're not going to get them. And guess what? As soon as they did, we kicked them out of the F-35 program because we didn't need that country, even though they are an ally and a NATO member, having technology that is from an adversary that could in theory be used and tested against our top equipment. So to the extent that we're not necessarily talking F-35s and S-400s here, we're talking smaller stuff, but even on the smaller scale, there are things that can be learned and can be used by using both sides, so to speak, of their equipment and learning from them. So that's one of the things I think the military also looks at and says, hey, that's not a good idea. You either all in with us or you're all in with somebody else. You're not going to sit there and buy your weapons from two different adversaries.
So then all of a sudden, and this is a quote, it says, one thing that's not going to lead to integrated air and missile defense is a bunch of Chinese military equipment in these countries that won't be interoperable with our systems, and they won't be allowed to plug into whatever network we're building because of the counterintelligence problems. Essentially, they're not going to keep selling a bunch of our gear if they are now buying the same thing or a similar thing from China. They're not going to want it side by side with this gear. All of a sudden, you're going to have Middle East not buying weapons from us at all. Then you have tighter alliances with the Middle East and with China than you do with the U.S. They're undercutting us. Do you see this? This is just like somebody opening up a tire shop right next to a tire shop and going, well, we'll get them to you in a day. This is like Amazon saying, we have 1 day free shipping. We have 1 hour shipping compared to 3-day shipping. Which one are you going to pick? You're going to pick the 1 hour free shipping over the one with 3-day shipping. It's like they're undercutting everywhere. Not to mention the Belt and Road Initiative they're doing with all these countries. This is a world domination plan. If people don't see that, I don't know what to say. And then the Kremlin's top brass are trying, and by the way, maybe our countries are trying to go all electric, but watch, we'll have an EMP hit us, and then the rest of the world will go back to oil and be at the top again, or be at the top. Yeah, just nuts. Thank you again, Lindy Lou, the Dogebird. Thank you, Sharon Davis. Thank you, and Be Real Beast. Thank you guys. Thank you over on D Live, everybody that has popped in already. Thank you guys. Thank you, Vault. Thank you for hosting. I appreciate that. Beer Juice, Wits, The End is Near, Cookielicious, Queen BTP, Kiki Gray, Scooby Doo Do Right, and of course, Bill Billings. Thank you so much for subscribing. And thank you, what was that? Sharal, thank you for subscribing as well. Thank you, Karen from Columbus, for sending lemons. I appreciate that. And then the Kremlin's top brass are trying to pass the buck over the ruble's collapse. This rare public infighting shows just how precarious Russia's wartime economy is. Dex, do you want to cover this? And somebody was talking about how the ruble isn't worth anything compared to the U.S. dollar.
Oh yeah, it's completely flattened. In matter of fact, if you look back, say just to September of last year, I want to say, and I'm looking right here, it was worth about 17, or it was worth 0.017, and now it is worth 0.01. So it is like less. One ruble is equal to less than or right at 1 penny of U.S. currency. So it's significantly tanked in the past year, or even the last 6, 7 months. A lot of it has been just in the recent weeks, as we have covered because we talked about this. We were also kind of speculating that, is this going to last or is it going to come back up? Because when they went into the conflict in the very beginning of it, it of course immediately tanked because everybody expected all the sanctions are going to just crush them and their economy will collapse, etc. But then when that didn't happen, it shot right back up. As I said, it was pretty high back in September, and I think you can go back before that and see that in the charts. But anyway, nonetheless, the fact that it's here now, it is a big deal. So they had to drop. They were messing with their interest rates. They were doing all sorts of stuff to try to fix it and see if they can get some sort of stability and bring back the value of their own currency. If this continue, and then obviously this infighting that's going on with the people in the banking systems and other leaders talking about this and sort of pointing fingers at one another because nobody wants to take the fall. Who wants to take the fall with Putin on this one? Because this is a really hard one for him, and it really you got to think about it. When we look at leaders and political leaders, there's always people they answer to, and those people they answer to are very rich people who have tons of money, who are bankrolling them, funding them, paying them off on the side. And as we were told, those people are called oligarchs in Russia. That's what they are. Um, Here we call them other things. They're corporate business people that have tons and tons of money. But nonetheless, those people are the ones that are going to be hurt the most. Not to dismiss what happens to the common people who also are going to be suffering from this lack of value in their currency and having to pay astronomical prices to get something. But this type of situation is going to hurt Putin with his surrounding supporters. That's what's going to be such a big deal, and why economics play such a critical role with leadership. And we see it with our own leader here in America. If our economics are bad, there's a lot of pressure put on the leadership. So um, this is not bad. This is significantly bad. This is really bad. So we'll see if they can pull back out of it. We've said, hey, maybe they'll bounce out. But if this keeps staying in this 1 penny range, where it's pretty much worthless compared to the U.S. dollar, that's not good for them at all.
And just to show you, this over here on the right shows 5-day, it's up 6%, but 1 year, it is down 36%. So it is dropping like a rock. But is there something that is around the corner that we won't be able to see? That's the problem here. And then before we move on, I want to remind you, if you want to protect your cars, your vehicles, all of your trucks against an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse strike, or a Carrington level event from the sun, then we have a great affiliate that will actually protect your cars and get you to be able to get home or to be able to get out and bug out. The most important part is having your vehicle run after any of these events, and it can if it's equipped with an EMP shield. These are super easy to put in. They're less than 10 minutes. You literally have to wire in the red to red on your battery, black to black on your battery, and then a green wire to the frame of your car. And then it will be able to ground the signal in less than 500 trillionths of a second before it's able to fry your device. This is the same company that's outfitting agencies like DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team. So again, you can go check out the Keystone military testings over on their site. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. The best part is you'll get $50 off per device, and you'll be helping our independent channel. We're literally on our own out here, so thank you guys for going and doing so. Otherwise, though, to be able to get home to your family or to get out to bug out after a disaster like this happens, which hopefully it never does. But many of us are looking at the fact is something little like this, being able to, it's a huge life changer. Like Justin True said last night, it's all fun and games and it's a hobby until something actually happens. And then when it is, it's going to be a life or death thing. marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use the code MARF. And again, if you use that code, you should already get the discount. So again, make sure to go check it out. And then leaked U.S. intelligence offers damning view of Ukraine's offensive despite new positive signs. So there's more and more information basically saying that what we've been calling out for 8 months now that it's not doing as well as they think. It says the White House on Friday worked to tamp down suggestions that it believes that UKR is on a losing path in its ongoing war against Russia after a damning report based on a leaked U.S. intelligence assessment indicated that the U.S. believes Kiev's counteroffensive is doomed to failure. It's like you wait a couple months and all of what people are saying, they're saying, hey, they're not winning. This counteroffensive is literal crap, which we said 3 months ago before it even started. And it is now coming out that it is. It's not doing well, and they're not winning. They're not valiant. The ghost of Kiev isn't kicking ass. It says, I will say that over a course of the past 2 years, there have been a lot of analyses about how this conflict would unfold coming from a lot of quarters. It says, and we've seen numerous changes in those analyses over time as dynamic battlefield conditions change. It said the Sylvian's comments come after the Washington Post reported the conclusion, based on the intelligence assessment and statements from officials speaking on the condition of anonymity, that UKR does not have the resources or manpower to achieve its principal goals in its months-long counteroffensive, principally to break through Russia's deeply entrenched front lines and cut off its land bridge to the Crimean Peninsula. The government of UKR and its surrogates did not immediately respond to the report, a predictable silence for a government that has sought to wage war on its own terms. They're not willing to change any parameters. They're not willing to give things up. So they're going to keep going. As far as this goes, though, it's like we covered. Russia did, what was it, 600 miles of trenches? Or wasn't it 50 miles? No, I think it was like 600 miles of trenches that they were getting ready to protect against this counteroffensive. So when they say entrenched, they're being literal. They are going to defend. This isn't good for our tax dollars because if they're not moving forward, that means that we are going to be sending more money to support them to keep going. And then where do people come from? It's like, how are they just going to keep, if people are perishing, if their soldiers are dying, where do new ones come from? We've already seen evidence that there are people from all over the world there. It's not looking good. And then what happens if they completely lose? What happens then? Or what happens if they end up going, okay, well, now we have to bring in NATO. And they won't just say they're bringing in NATO to win it. There would be some sort of Fantastic Freddy event that would make it so they need to bring them in. Either way, if Russia does start losing, then if they're cornered, what kind of actions would they take then? Seems to me like they would use one of their puppets or Lukashenko or somebody else or North Korea to do something to get us distracted from what's going on. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. All right. And then thank you. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Bible Talk 777. Thank you. Hi to fam mods, Adam and Dex. Love y'all, but not as much as Jesus does. Love him back. He's the only way. Bible Talk 777. Thank you, and thank you. FG, hey y'all, what's going on? FG, nice to see you. Bad Apple Media says, how's it going, Adam? RTP here. We all have to catch up. Lots going on in my investigative reports. A lifetime of experience will be, quote, televised, LOL. Bad Apple Media, nice to see you, man. And at first I didn't know that because you were Bad Apple, you were Rotten Apple News. I actually like that name too. Bad Apple Media, that's cool. And then RTP, again, I think the Bad Apple Media is, that one's a good one. You should stick with that. And then Lindy Lou, thank you so much. And Sharon Davis, I appreciate it. And explosions rock Moscow, drone claimed downed. So yet another explosion in Moscow. So I don't know if this is them trying to any kind of success to televise it, but we don't know how things are actually going. But they say that there were explosions that jolted the residents of Moscow and its suburbs in the early hours of August 18th as the Moskva city complex and financial district, adorned with skyscrapers in the western, was on fire and once again damaged by what appears to be a drone attack. So there was a major explosion. There's several videos on Twitter. Again, I believe one of them or one of the photos here is attached to this article. You can go find that on marfoogle.news.com. And then Denmark and Netherlands received formal U.S. approval to send F-16s to Ukraine. Huh. Didn't see that one coming. Dex, now they're getting F-16s from Denmark and Netherlands.
Yeah, and it was just the other day we heard Zelensky say, "I guess we're never going to get F-16s." He was whining about it. But apparently they're getting them now. So here we go. They've at least approved it. At least the U.S. side has approved it. I don't know how long this will take. I don't know what the level of training the pilots already may have. I know that they had been, and a lot of the NATO countries have been offering to do training, and they were training them. I don't know if they're ready to actually take them just yet, but we'll keep an eye on this. It's just the approval. It doesn't mean they've actually been sent there. It would be probably a significant. I'm sure it's a significant upgrade on any type of aircraft they have now. Our equipment is pretty good, and F-16s are, while it's not an F-35, it's still a really good jet. So I'm sure there's some advantages they will have there, but I don't know that it's going to make much of a difference right now, especially as what we just saw, with the leaked information, which is also similar to the information that came out of the mainstream and everyone else saying that the counteroffensive is kind of like not going anywhere. It makes you wonder, what good was that 75 billion plus another 40 we're asking for to go over there is really buying if they're not making any success.
They did the math before a ton of these other payments went out, and it was like $11,000 per taxpayer in the United States was going to this thing. If you break it down to, basically every single person in America would be sending $11,000. And it's eventually going to come out of our taxes. And then the F-16s, are the F-16s good enough? If you're a pilot and if you know the answer to this, are the F-16s good enough to beat Russia's, next gen top of the line air defense systems? I know that our, sixth generation or fifth generation jets, they probably could totally kick Russia's ass. But can the F-16 go up against some of their air defenses, since they have, their next gen air defenses on the lines? I don't know. The reason I ask is these F-16s could fly right into Russia and do some serious damage. We'll see, though, and we'll follow when they actually get put into play. And then, man, so this just came out over the last couple days. There's been things that have been amended, and they just now changed again the misinfo policy surrounding the thing that happened in 2019. So just so you guys know, there's going to be some serious changes. And what's crazy to me is right before all of this, there's all of these different platforms coming around. At the same time, there have been tons of people coming out and saying, "Oh, I just wanted to die. I was super sick and I found out I've got this." And I was talking about this the other day. Like, there was a creator that I know that was like, "I just came home and they told me I've got this." And I'm like, people were like, "Well, drink some Gatorade." Before it would be like, "Oh gosh, I hope you survive. Do you have a will?" Now it's like, "Oh, drink some Gatorade, keep moving." You're take some aspirin. That's how people react to it now. But is it going to be worse? Is there going to be something that comes out, or they tell us that something's coming out? Was that whole thing a lead up to a real thing? I mean, honestly, think about this. If we had something with a real mortality rate that came out, and white people, after this last time, people are just like, they're not even able to wrap their heads around a real, like a bad demic coming out and hitting us. The thing is they exist, and they're extremely scary. Think about if we had something like the songbird type of thing that affected your brain or this or that, and it comes out and it has a mortality rate of like 80% or 100%, something crazy like that, and something like that released. That's the thing. Biological is a scary thing, and we just covered over the last couple of weeks that all of these different places around the world are getting their CBRN stuff stockpiling, especially Poland and Finland. Finland is actually stockpiling massive supplies for chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear. So everybody thinks, oh, nuclear. They always go for the nuclear stuff. But what about the biological part of that? Biological weapons are much easier to make as far as an adversary goes. They don't have to get some sort of crazy, nuclear. They don't have to get something that's basically only found in this area. Somebody could put together something that is absolutely nasty and take people out with not much effort. So that's always kind of freaked me out. And also what DHS has been doing over the last couple of years, they've been preparing these detectors that can detect biological agents in the air and all of these other things. And they're doing it on an express timeline. So if you look at the before in 2019, when they did all of these tabletop exercises, they matched exactly what happened in real life. If you look at the next one, the Contagion, the 2025 one, that one was really scary. They said that one affected your brain. That one did this. I mean, it was straight out of Songbird. Dex, did you ever watch Songbird? I said that was like homework for you.
I watched it.
Do you remember how in that movie they said they literally called it CV23? And in that movie, in the very beginning, it's showing like news broadcasts like, CV23, this new variant, it affects your brain. That was literally what they put in that exercise. Like that was the fictitious one that they put in that exercise, is this one affects your brain. It's just so crazy because now everything's kicking up again. And now they're kicking up the changes before any of this happens. They just literally they just laxed a bunch of their rules a couple of months ago, and now they're making them tougher. So something could be right around the corner. Speaking of social media, we'll talk about Elon here in a second, but I want to remind you, if you remember CV, all of the shelves were empty. If you don't want to be stuck in that position, go over marfooglenews.com/prep. It's definitely better to get this stuff today rather than after you need it. Obviously, a lot of people ran into stores to see that there were nothing there. That's where this comes in clutch. Having backup food, like, of course, freeze-dried food, means you're going to have food on demand, and you're going to be able to add water, cook it in water, and then boom, you've got a meal. These really good to store because it takes up very little space because they suck all the water molecules out of the food. It's able to last 25 plus years, and it's all sealed in Mylar bags. Go over to marfooglenews.com/prep. They have the best discount they've ever had, which is 25% on the 3-month plan. Again, but they have all sorts of different sales on the 1 month, on the weeks. So make sure to go check concurrently. If you're watching this as a replay, make sure to go check to see if they still have that. All right. And then Elon Musk says that X, aka Twitter, will no longer let you block other users. This, I don't know what the deal with that is. Again, I don't know if this is across the board. Maybe it will be a good thing. I don't know, but I don't know what the motivation behind this is. Maybe it's because he believes certain people shouldn't be able to block some of this stuff. But this was always something that I would think that this would hurt Twitter if somebody went on there and they didn't want their blocked people or trolls or whatever. I don't understand why they would do this. It says Elon's latest tweak to Twitter, the former name of what now calls X, users will no longer be able to block other accounts, as Musk claims the feature makes no sense. Block is going to be deleted as a feature except for DMs. So they won't be able to DM you, but they will be able to go and basically post. It says the tech mogul posted on X Friday. It says makes no sense. It says X Twitter describes Block as a feature that helps you control how you interact with other accounts on Twitter. This feature helps people in restricting specific accounts from contacting them, seeing their tweets, and following them. Instead of using the block, Musk suggested that X users can use the mute feature instead. However, the social media network's mute button simply removes an account's posts from your timeline without unfollowing or blocking that account, whereas blocking account prevents another account from viewing your public posts on X. So I see kind of the point. It's like that person should be able to see what you're saying in the public square. So I kind of get what he's saying with this, but this I do not. There is something here that just is absolutely wrong. So a few days ago, I noticed that certain posts were like unbelievably low impressions. Like I posted something about somebody saying something about Hawaii, and it had like 30 impressions. And I'm like, and by the way, that's not bad if you get 30, but again, and my account is like super low. I get maybe 1,000, 2,000 impressions, whatever else. But that was so unusually low. I was like, what the heck is going on here? And I thought, man, I wonder if this post, because they said that they were going to start shadow banning posts or the individual tweet will be looked at. So I just happened to look at the shadow ban thing. And actually, Dex, did you grab the screenshot of that? Or is that in other tweets?
Yes, it's in Screener.
Okay, so let's see here. Check this out. So if you go to the I am banned thing, which I think there's several of these, but after Elon said that he would essentially make it transparent and all of this stuff, they were able to have this kind of checker, and you could check if you were shadow banned. Well, everybody, you can go there and type in your name. I believe this is across the board. You'll type in your screen name or your Twitter handle, and it will say for the bottom ban, which is it's ghost ban and deboosting, it says we were unable to test for technical reasons. This happened a couple days ago at the same time that a lot of these posts just started getting like no replies, no impressions, no nothing. Deboosting, again, is something I think is just the same as freaking censoring. It's basically saying they decided that your words and your post shouldn't be seen by others. Now, get this. As far as Linda Yaccarino, it says X has never been safer, but major brands are pulling advertising after posts appeared beside the pro-NAZ content. They also made numerous articles about the Hawaii stuff and how the D and the E and the W's was trending. So after this, and they specifically in these articles, like the New York Post and all of these others that showed this, they showed the accounts that were posting old 10-year-old videos and attaching them to Hawaii. When they did that, they all of a sudden have they basically put this through to Congress, and they got comments from Congress and all of this, and they were trying to push that, hey, this is misinfo, this is bad. Well, then now everybody's afraid. The advertisers are now pulling out, and now they're basically saying, along with this thing here, where the ads were next to this thing, this is straight up like every other adpocalypse. Like, oh, my ad showed up next to this. Now they are doing all of these draconian things. Mind you, Linda Yaccarino said that she has a list of lawful but awful accounts. And in fact, let me see here. Let me see if I can find, I'm going to show you this. So, oh shoot, I hope that I still have it here. Yeah, look at this. So Laura Loomer, who I've actually talked to before, I interviewed her, LMAO. I have 500,000 followers, and basically talks about how she has 200 to 400 million impressions on my account, 50,000 followers, or she has 500,000 followers, 200 to 400 million impressions, and she got $190 from the monetization thing, right? Let me show you here. And here's the screenshot. And it says that there are accounts with 50,000 followers or less making $8,000 a month from Twitter, which, by the way, I don't get paid on Twitter. And the minimum thing for Twitter for you to get paid is like insane. It's like millions of impressions per month. But this point, it says, it looks like Linda Yaya X is discriminating against me because I'm an outspoken T-Man supporter. This is last week. She said that X would be creating a lawful but awful list of content creators who would be blacklisted for making money. What is this? Like, Elon, if you watch this, what is this? This is the opposite of what you said. Like, this is the complete opposite. First of all, the fact that things are getting deboosted, this whole thing around like, oh, they decide what is deboosted and what's not. This is craziness. Like, this should not be happening. I think this is really, really freaky to even see that's happening right now. And they say it's because of this or that, but I think it's because of what is to come in the next year. Everything's about to be clamped down on. And, a lot of people thought, oh, like Elon is free speech, this and that. But look at this. If you make this list, this blacklist of people, then all of a sudden you're not going to be seen or heard. And that is the opposite of free speech. I know Laura said some stuff, but out of all the people I could think of, she's definitely not the worst. So it's just like the whole Linda thing. When he hired her, everybody didn't get it. It's like, I think they're all playing this game, man. Let's see here. Let's see. Let me get back to this. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments down below. And then there was a weird thing that Twitter users can now hide their verified check marks if they want to. Because apparently people want the features, but now people feel bad because people make fun of people that have check marks. I think it's pretty stupid if you ask me. Like, check mark or no check mark, who cares? I got it because you can upload 2 hours of footage. But either way, it's nice. Like before, with the old Twitter, you could not get a check mark. I thought it was kind of stupid when they then introduced the gold check mark, and the gold check mark is exactly what the blue check mark used to be. If you're a gold check mark, you're something else. But they also said that they were boosting this and that. Well, what about people that are on that list that also pay for the check mark? Well, they pay, so then you're boosted, but then you're deboosted at the same time? Like, this is why you have to understand, creators go through this just to reach people out there. We're getting held back by things we cannot see. That should be the illegal part. That essentially, especially if money is involved, the fact that one person, if they're towing the line, can make money doing something, and one person, if they have a different opinion, they make less money or no money at all. That should be it's their company, they can decide that. Well, how does that work? They can't say, they can't do that based on race. Why are they able to do it on opinion? Oh, well, if you're black, you can't make money, but if you're white, you can. Like that, it would be the same thing if they were employees of the company. They could go, well, I don't want to hire you. That's okay, kick them off. But they're going to let them work for them, but then not make money? Like, or make drastically less because of their views? Like, that doesn't make sense. We should not be judging people on what they believe, who they select for president, whatever. Like, that's just crazy to me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And nobody is going to speak up about this stuff. And it's going to affect the people that you watch. It's going to affect everything. And what's crazy is the other side of the aisle is so loud and out and protest and everything else. Meanwhile, when stuff like this happens, nobody really gets up in arms about it. I don't understand it, because it's going to directly affect everybody. Even if you're not a creator, it's going to affect everything you watch, everybody you watch. It's insane. Dex, do you have any comments about this whole thing?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the block. The whole advertising thing. Look, at the end of the day, money talks. So if someone, I don't care who it is, owns a platform and their platform is generating dollars and their basic income is coming from those advertisements and advertisers that they sell to, like Twitter does, like Facebook does, like anyone else, these big giant companies that spend millions and millions of dollars on their platform, that's who they're going to cater to. They're not going to cater to the end user unless the end user is the one paying the bill. Now, mind you, I know the whole blue thing came out, and people can actually spend between $7 and $11 a month to be on Twitter and actually be paying them, and that can offset create that experience. But that probably is nothing close to the amount of money they're getting from the advertisers, and those advertisers are the ones that are going to dictate what they want their brand to be beside. That's marketing 101. Advertisers have been doing it for years. If they want to look a certain way or not look a certain way or don't want to be beside something that makes them look bad, then that's what's going to happen. And if they deem a certain type of content, a certain type of person, a certain niche, and say, "Hey, our brand can't be around that. That's bad." Then that's what happens. And if the supplier, Twitter or X in this case, can't provide that functionality, that marketing dollars will leave and go to another platform. They'll take it to Instagram, they'll take it to YouTube, they'll take it to Facebook. So if they want to survive, they have to cater to them. That is the downfall of a free platform that's run by, only advertising. If everybody here was willing to pay for it, then they could answer to the customers that were paying them, $5 a month or $20 a month, whatever the service would cost.
Well, I remember, and it's the whole thing about what is hate, right? Who decides that? Well, what is awful? What if she decides something is awful? It says if you're going to post something that is lawful, so it's legal, but it's awful, you get labeled, not the tweet. Remember when Elon said that it would be, he said that it would be, that tweet would be de-amplified, but it says you get labeled, literally saying that you get labeled, you get de-amplified, which means it cannot be shared and it's certainly demonetized. Okay, well, who cares about money? What about, because I'm demonetized. I'm not monetized on Twitter. So what about reaching people though? What if you have a bad tweet and then that tweet gets you labeled? So what if you make a mistake or you post something, then that tweet will get you labeled, not the tweet? That was the exact opposite. When he said freedom of reach and not freedom of speech, like the big thing is freedom of speech, being able to reach everyone. The thing like look at the when the NAZI people, they were following orders. They were following the law. They were following something that was considered in their country that it was correct. It was right. That doesn't make it right. Just because it's a law or because it's accepted doesn't mean that it's right. So if somebody has an opinion that goes against what essentially could be a dictatorship, it could be something horrible that 99% of us to say that's absolutely horrid. That doesn't make it right. You have to have the other side of speech. You have to have the other side of the negative stuff. So I kind of get the blocking thing, but it's as far as like the de-amplifying, that's freedom of reach, right? Well, now people are getting labeled. That's crazy to me. She's saying it straight up that you're going to get labeled. And I guess Elon doesn't care if people like him because everybody's torn him apart. Dex, go ahead.
Well, I guess on one hand, the whole labeling, it's not a good thing, obviously. I can see how it could work, technically speaking, if you had one bad tweet out of 4 or 5 that might be in that category. Well, when somebody's looking at your tweet history and they see ads in there, well, you've got one, so the one would cause it to not show, higher quality ads. So only show lower quality ads or no ads. And eventually that should go away. Like, in other words, if you only did that once, it should go away. It sounds to me like what they're doing is taking it to the next step and saying, hey, if you do this repeatedly, or it's enough that the system sort of says, yeah, everything coming out of this particular account is falling into that category, then they're labeling them. Or if they're really bad, like in the case of the NAZ, as you were talking about, that she got called on the carpet for, because these brands literally had their advertisements, the Atlanta Falcons and somebody else, another baseball team or something. They all had their paid ads sitting right next to these tweets that were, you know, NAZ kind of stuff. And I'm not talking, you know, lightly. It was significantly the tweets that they showed, and they took screenshots and plastered all over the media. So that doesn't help them, because of course marketers turn around and go, wow, if that's happening, I'm not spending my money there.
Okay, but
So it's unfortunate, but yeah, you're right. If they're labeling an individual person,
but who can? Can't people decide that that oh, that's an ad? An ad should be separate no matter where it is. Who if it's next to something?
but the ad's deciding, not the people. It's the advertiser. The people aren't paying the bill. The advertiser
I
is,
know,
so
but
they have the ultimate authority.
If I see Coca-Cola under some really nasty stuff, it's like, okay, well, I still saw Coca-Cola, the nasty stuff. We know that Coca-Cola didn't write that tweet. It's an ad. It's just to get that thing in front of your face. Like
Yeah, I get
they've
it,
put
but
an
they will
emphasis
not do
on
that.
where it is. And it's like, it's a whole platform. If you scroll past something and that happens to be near this thing, well, who cares? It's an ad. It's totally separate. They've put an emphasis. Well, we don't want it in the same place as this.
It's the marketer. They care. They absolutely 1,000% care where their ad is seen and what's beside it. They don't want to be in a dilapidated or in a bad environment or in something that's negative. They want to be in a positive light.
Yeah, but
or in a light or in a place that is receptive to the message they're putting out.
okay,
Coca-Cola would not put an ad in a, you know, in a raunchy place.
yeah, but they also get to decide if you support a certain person, then I guess that everybody's going to get marked for supporting somebody. That they're not saying anything. They're saying lawful but awful. So it's totally legal to say, but you get marked and you can't make money if you support somebody. Like that to me, then things just need to change. Like that's just crazy. Screw the marketers then. Like that's just nuts.
Yeah, you need a platform that's not advertising driven.
Yeah. It just, there has to be an argument against that. It doesn't make sense. I get from the advertiser, well, the advertisers are all a certain way, and that should change. Like, that's just so frustrating. Basically, they're pushing through all of this that if you believe a certain thing, then you can't talk, or you can never be successful. You can never do anything if you're on the wrong side of the road. Like, that's, to me, is just crazy. And then Cruise driverless car collides with emergency vehicles in San Francisco and injures passenger. We keep seeing these stories, and I don't know if they're they're at the place where they should be. Just yesterday, we covered that the car drove right into wet cement and got stuck. It was a driverless car again, and now we have one that actually hits somebody carrying a passenger. So I personally wouldn't ride in these things, but if you want to, go ahead. All right. Let's see here. At least they crash. At least when they crashed, they were close to help. Haha. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty bad. And then Jeremy, I don't know. Advertising shareholders suck. Sheldon Bosch. Well, the thing is, I understand that there's bad stuff out there, but what's crazy is it doesn't matter. It depends. They look at even your audience. If your audience is the wrong kind of people, then they label. I don't like that they're labeling people permanently. Like, because you do one thing, you're going to get labeled, or because somebody has decided that they don't like you. Like that just seems so unfair. Yeah, just doesn't make sense. Heavy ordinance. Yeah, but then the thing is you don't reach people if it's completely uncensored and somebody's paying for like a separate thing, then you literally don't reach the rest of people. And that's sad. I think it should all be free. If there's advertisement, then that's what it has to be. I would hope that there would be enough big companies to be able to be like, yeah, we'll advertise on that. I guess if they don't want their advertisement, then they should find advertisers that do want to do that, so that the company should be split down the middle. It shouldn't be this 99% of advertisers don't want to be near anything related to this person or that. It should be, well, then we need to get advertisers on both sides, and those other advertisers shouldn't have a problem if they don't want to advertise to those people, then select it. That's how YouTube used to be. If you didn't want your advertisement placed near certain things or high risk things, then you chose not to. And I guess that's how it is now, because yeah, that's just nuts.
And that's what they're creating on X.
Yeah, but it's dramatically different. It doesn't work, obviously.
It's similar to on this platform where you can buy the highest of quality ad placements where you're only next to, the really high quality, or you can get the middle of the run, or you can buy
Oh
the
yeah,
bottom of the barrel.
who did they place as high quality? How did
That's
they choose
YouTube
that?
secret sauce.
Yeah,
That's theirs. That's their personal list, and they've got a whole bunch of people on lists that are not in that category, and
yep.
they do the same exact thing. So X is doing the same thing that they were doing before. X is doing the same thing that this platform does, that Facebook does, that all of them do, because they're all advertiser driven, and that's what sucks. I disagree with it, but I understand why it happens that way.
No, can't do it. All right. Well, let's go over the web only. There's a lot of
Oh, we
crazy.
need to talk about the Panama Canal. Do you still have that one?
Yes, yeah, I already kind of covered it, right?
Oh, did you? I must have missed it then.
Oh, wait, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I did skip that one. I was on a
Yeah,
rant.
all the Twitter stuff we threw in there. Yep.
Go ahead. Yeah. You can just
So
cover it.
yeah, I'll let me do it. This is kind of crazy, guys. So if you haven't heard about what's going on at the Panama Canal, they this article I think is a couple of days old. It started to come out as of today. I think the Wall Street Journal has reported over 200 ships are backlogged. They are claiming, due to a drought or a delayed rainy season, that they are limiting the number of vessels that can pass through the canal. They've got it down to 32 vessels that are allowed to pass. That is a significant decrease. And if you don't have a reservation, you're stacking up. In other words, if you didn't have a planned reservation, your ship is stacking up. And this is happening at probably the worst time. Worst time because we don't think about it, but like all of us are going to go, shopping in the Q4 timeframe for everything for the holiday season and Thanksgiving and all that. We spend a ton of money in the back end of the year as consumers. That's when the biggest spend of money is. It's also when the biggest amount of products are put on the shelves. And all of that doesn't happen at the end of the year. It happens right now. All of those shipments are trying to get through right now and will start to go through as we're speaking. And this is actually happening. It may fix itself in a short amount of time. It may not. If it doesn't, this is going to get worse. So we need to pay attention to the Panama Canal. We need to pay attention to what's going on, because these ships are backing up. They're backing up because they're restricting the amount of ships that are allowed to flow through. This is coming from the Panama Canal Authority. As you guys recall, we used to control that canal. We no longer do. We gave it to the rights of the country of Panama. They actually control it themselves. And they have partnered with a whole lot of companies, huge companies that are owned by China. The two ports coming in on either side are owned by China. The special deep water areas that were built to help support China were actually built by the same people that were dredging the islands in the South China Sea. And all of the construction that goes on around there is done by Chinese companies. Not saying that the canal itself is run by them, but there's a ton of influence around it. Okay. Draw to that what you want. But this is something important. Pay attention to it. We'll keep watching it. If this expands, like I said, a couple days ago, it was 150 ships. Now it's 200. It's been a day and a half, I guess, since that report came out. We'll see if this grows, but this could be a very big deal going into our Q4 time period.
Well, if you can go right into the web only.
Certainly. So the rest of the story, guys, and there's a cool thing in here too. If for those of you that stuck around, don't go anywhere, because if you want to win a Resvani tank. This is one of those street legal survival tanks, bulletproof, got the EMP shield built into it. It says it's got explosive protection, smoke screen, even pepper spray, and much more. Just go to our website and you can click on the link, and it's with our partner, My Patriot Supply. You can just click on this image right here. It'll take you right to their site, and you can go enter to win if you want to be one of the lucky people that win that $440,000 vehicle.
And
I would love to have that.
The EMP shield is built into this, right? It already.
Yeah, they did a deal with them ages ago.
Yeah.
All the Resvani vehicles have EMP shields built in.
Yep. So this is like the prepper paradise here.
Yeah, this is probably what Bezos and all those rich people have. We don't normally have this. I don't know anybody with a $440,000 vehicle, but I wouldn't mind one. If anybody wants to give me one, feel free. You can find my contact on the website. But hey, lots of other stuff going on. If that's not reason enough to go to our website, there is a lot more. Go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to this page. You can find out the rest of the story. A few other cool things that are happening or interesting things that you need to be paying attention to. There was a agent who was fatally taken out by another agent in training, and guess what? This isn't like the guard or the police or the FBI or something like that. It's the IRNDS. That right there is like, wow, okay, that's happening. Some interesting stories about college. We do college tuitions being a ripoff. We do have coverage on everything that's going on with the UKR and Russia, the latest updates on troop counts or loss counts and who's moving where. And then a little bit updates on China. But back to the EVs, like we were talking about with the cruise car that got hit into the ambulance, the driverless car. Ford CEO went on his own drive in his own vehicle, and he can't even charge. Just like that article we told you about the other customer that had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on his Ford EV vehicle and couldn't charge and had to abandon his trip with his family. It happened to the CEO, and he had to come out and admit, yeah, we got problems. So that's there. Lots of other updates around the space of what's happening with the crime, and especially in LA and other places, as we talked about, supermarkets that potentially are closing, people upset about anti-theft, all of that. And then, of course, the T-Man saga. I'm not going into it. There's enough there. You've heard enough about it. By the way, O'Keefe, check that out. There's an interesting article about him going on. And then that Mississippi article that we've covered numerous times with the police that went in after the local paper, and the owner of the paper perished over the search and seizure. There's an update on that there as well. So that and so much more. It's on our website. Go to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or open up that show notes link down below in the description.
All right. Thank you, Dex. And then thank you to, it looks like we have Desert Nurse. Thank you for your super thanks on the last show. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. There was also Kelly Z3CD says, thanks, Adam, Dex, Mods. Great info, great show on Poland deploys and Moscow chaos. Thank you guys for the super thanks. Essentially, it's a super chat on a replay. So thank you. And then Desert Nurse says, thanks, increase in solar and cosmic rays entering our atmosphere, especially since the magnetic shield is down by 25%. More energy is entering our planet, causing more clouds, rain, lightning. It will cause an increase in wind speeds as well as stronger updrafts, making larger hailstones. Governments are pushing all this bunk to cover for all the changing weather. Desert Nurse, thank you. That was on This Is a Game Changer alert. Thank you so much. And thank you so much to everyone who made it to tonight's show. Thank your mods. Drop an M in the chat right now. And thank you, Bible Talk 777, FG, Bad Apple Media. Thank you. Some Bad It. Thank you so much. X is a Judas goat. Says Some Bad It. And it says, if YouTube and socials are censoring and locking down, something is going down soon. CV23. That's what I'm saying. Some Bad It. If they're locking down, something's about to go down. And then Bible Talk 777, 2020 was a test run. Lots of social data collected. Nana MT, thank you. Thank you for the massive support. It looks like you are the top supporter tonight. Thank you, and thank you. Nana MT. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you guys have a wonderful night. Over on D Live, thank you everybody. Kiki Gray. Thank you, Chance, for holding it down over there. Thank you, Jammer. Thank you, Vault. Thank you, WizDeck. Thank you, Beer Juice. And One on B. Love you guys. And Shannon, BOD, I saw your message last night. I already shut the stream down. But thank you guys. Love you. Hopefully you're doing well in California. All right, Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight.
Great job, brother. Much love.
All right, we'll see you later. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's a shoutro.
You know the line to you and me. Everywhere from here to the Black Sea. You know the line to you and me. Everywhere from here to the Black Sea. You know the line to you and me. Everywhere from here to the Black Sea. You know the line to you and me. Everywhere from here to the Black Sea. Hey, would you let the whole WAS and Liddy Liddy Lou? San Rondonga and Leon in the bone, we know where.
Let's make one for Nana. 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 MD Nana. MD Nana. Nana. Boom, 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 Nana. I got Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana na, I'm Nana na, na, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana Nana MT, 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 Nana. I got the Nana MT with a big hit reel. I tell my ass and to be a real, be real beast and a Jennifer Sammy. A carrot rat in the willow bar, and wait like said lion and her wise. They say you I say you I on Shazam with AZ Shazina, Alexa, Laura. Hey, where did Deborah P? Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana MT, Nana. As Sparky Brian and the Katie Glean, it's a lot of now. Mama of six in the same way, AZ, Bad Apple Media,
ketchup and the show went high. Oh, damn it, man, they with that dang bird. I got 99 nugget, but about to rule me one. Carry Correct in the Mr. Dunn. Randy on the man in the Randy Dunn. Won't W-I-S John. I got come up and check out G Hooker, Alan V and Mr. Booker, Susan Big and the Lakeside Laura. Hey, I keep on feeling, I'm no real. Everybody going back now, oh, yeah, I'm not a head, swinging on the day, I'm going down back now, way. I got eaten the bowl. I said, never know what's coming around, going down. Dealing. Hey, with anonymous, everybody know how we love you. Hey, now down and do it, do everyone knows. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Wendy Jones and T-Rex, Wendy Jones and T-Rex, apple cider vinegar, and Mr. Way with a Mr. Ware, when nobody with a Warren G, yo, and a Mr. Steve, a time of 07, and everybody.